That was really calm and easy, that win.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure I like this not stressful, just win a game, piece of piss, don't really have to concentrate. Watching the game, Leeds score, get in, Leeds second goal, get in. Last 10 minutes, I didn't even nearly have a heart attack once.
No, I quite enjoyed the experience, and I'm sure Liam Cooper's never touched a football so much in his life as he did in those last 20 minutes.
Yeah, passing it around the back, piece of piss. So, yeah, that was nice and calm. So maybe this episode 106 at Mike White's podcast, will also be calm.
You'd hope so. I mean, I can't imagine there's going to be much alarmist behaviour right now.
Yeah, how are we meant to get worked up about being 10th? Oh, the next game's in London. That's plenty to get worked up about. So, yeah, episode 106 at Mike White's podcast. I'm Jack, as always, joined by Casey.
Hey, how we doing?
And yeah, we'll get straight into it. Leeds 2, Crystal Palace 0. My first question is, other than West Brom away, is that the easiest game is that the least stressful game in like 2 years?
It's got to be up there.
Maybe Hull away. Hull away was when we won. That was pretty calm.
Yeah, but I think there was kind of the expectation with Hull for us to smash them because of how bad they were. Like kind of after the game, I was mildly disappointed that it was only 2-0.
Well, it should have been more. Obviously, we'll come on to the goals in a bit, but we might as well mention it. It definitely should have been more. I mean, I think Pascal Strauch had an XG of like 1.3.
When he put that header wide, I just laughed.
Not the first one was too high for him, so fair enough, that happens. But the second one, the sort of half dive, I won't call it a diving header. It was more stooping, and then he tripped himself over. And the header from the corner. Between them two, you have to score one of them.
The diving header had memories of Paul Beasley's attempt at a diving header where he basically sends it back to the corner flag.
Yeah.
Nice
reference for the kids there, mate.
Yeah. Listen, if you don't know who Richard Jobson and Paul Beasley are, it's for the best. You'll be fine.
It's knowledge like that saw you still not even make the top 100 of the athletics quiz.
I dipped in and out briefly. Tipped a toe in, thought, I don't like this, I need to be more mid-table.
Yeah.
No, that is the one thing I don't blame the players for kind of easing up when there was very little pressure on them to play at a high tempo in those last 20 minutes, for them to just keep the ball and keep it moving and occasionally get upfield. But yeah, I mean, I thought that Palace team were particularly poor.
Yeah, I thought that the Palace team were really bad. It's not like a complete lack of ability, because obviously Eze's on the pitch, he's a good player. Mateta, from what I've seen from the Bundesliga, looks like a decent player. Ayew's got some ability. Riedewald's a good player. But there was just no effort to try and get back into the game. I mean, Leeds got 1-0 up after, was it 3 or 4 minutes?
Yeah, I think it's 3 minutes.
And it was good pressing, wins the ball back out the pitch, little Dallas pass inside, Harrison, decent strike, deflected in. It's a very run-of-the-mill goal.
One of only about 4 games I've not backed Jack Harrison to score first as well.
I was going to message you, actually, as soon as it went in. But I suppose the only times we win 3-1 is when I don't back it. It's just the way it works.
Yeah.
But they were 1-0 down from the 3rd minute, and they were 2-0 down for 40 minutes. And at no point did they come out of the shell and have a go.
No, I mean, there was very few times I remember Eze getting on the ball and causing us any problems. Townsend came on, and I think he had one effort, and that was about it. No, I just there was. If I was a Palace fan, I'd be very upset because there was. I couldn't think of a single positive to take out of that game.
Not from their point. But I suppose a positive to come out of that game, I suppose Gary Cahill's relatives will be due some inheritance because he is dead now. He is absolutely dead, murdered on the floor.
A man has children.
and I feel sorry for those children because it must be horrible to lose a parent at such a young age. But I'm afraid that he is dead.
I did ask someone the question, like, if you've got kids, and especially with Gary Cahill at his age now, I don't know, but he could potentially have kids that are kind of 7, 8, 9, who fully understand the concept of what happened and are just rinsing him for it.
Yeah, that'd be the worst, actually, if they're sort of 7, 8, because they'll know enough to take the piss. Your dad got absolutely rinsed on the football pitch. But the kids won't have enough of a concept of money to be able to say, he's a Premier League footballer and a former England international. I never have to do anything as long as I live.
Yeah, your dad got absolutely roasted the other night. Yeah, but he's on 80 grand a week, isn't he? So what are you going to do? Like,
yeah.
See
he took
tomorrow.
a pay cut to be on 80 grand a week.
Yeah.
No, but that we'll start to be a bit more chronological. The first goal we've mentioned, it's a good strike from Harrison, but he don't go in without the deflection. But we were due something like that. And over this game, we more than made up for that bit of luck by missing other chances. I really liked the second goal. The clearance out, good pressure from Phillips, but after it's good pressure on the initial clearance from Bamford, good pressure from Phillips to win it back. Click, good. His pass through to Rafinha were really well weighted. Really good strike from Rafinha. Obviously, Guaita's a bit unlucky because that's a pretty good save to save the Rafinha effort. But Bamford, who was out right on the wing at the start of the run, overtakes 2 Palace defenders sprinting into the box, which it's a level of commitment and stuff that they just don't have and our players do. And it's an easy enough finish. Like it's hard to believe, but it was actually easier than the one he skied in the first half. It was just a nice goal, and I'm delighted for Bamford scoring against them because the time he had there was clearly fucking miserable.
Yeah. I'm glad for him as well to get a goal at Ellen Road because I think it's one of those things that people make quite a bit of, that he's not scored that many at home. And it's what was it? His 100th career goal as well, a league goal.
100th career goal, I think it was. Yeah.
That's so nice. Very happy for him. I am starting to wonder if Sky ever ask for anyone else for a post-match interview.
If he does anything, he's going to get asked every time because he's. The way that they describe it in the media is he's good value.
Yeah.
He always says something, and even if he doesn't say anything, he's just such a nice guy that people will stick around to watch him get interviewed. Which doesn't happen to many players, but it does with him.
Yeah, the takeaway from this one being, if anything else, he made himself captain for fantasy football this week.
Yeah. I don't know whether all of that is actually true or whether he's just playing into it because of last time. But
I would like it to become a running theme now of just asking Pat Bamford about his fantasy team every week.
Yeah, but the problem is if he's talking about the fantasy team, there's going to be that one time where he goes, well, we won 3-1 and I was glad they got one because I've got him in my fantasy team. and the world will explode. The goals weren't really the story in this game. We scored 2 goals, but it was just the level of dominance in this game. It wasn't just that we were better than them. They were barely playing the same sport. We said, well, Strout could have had a couple and should have had at least one. Bamford should have had another one. As nice a strike as it was from Harrison, that one late on, he should hit the target with that. He's under no pressure 18 yards out. He
absolutely laces that. For where he is, he absolutely hits that for no reason.
Yeah, it was. I know it was stoppage time, and they wouldn't have scored if we'd have played for 2 weeks. No. And it wasn't just that they put on no pressure, and both Cooper and Strauch had really good games. Especially Liam Cooper. I thought Cooper was really good in this game.
Yeah, again, like I said, just the amount of time he spent on the ball would have been a training exercise for him anyway, with his distribution. But yeah, he looked. I think I said this for the last couple of weeks actually, that he's looking more and more like a Premier League defender now. There was that. I think there was that phase through December where he had quite a few shaky moments, and yeah, there's still a few issues with marking at set pieces, but for the most part, I think he's now showing the skill set of a Premier League defender. I think he's got enough speed to deal with most issues outside of a Jamie Vardy. His positioning's getting better. His tackling's been fantastic, and just overall, I think he's competing more.
Yeah, I thought that this was probably his best Premier League game. He might have had another one that I'm forgetting. But even though it wasn't that he was tested that much defensively, but whenever the ball went near him, he just seemed in complete control of it. And in possession, his passing was really good throughout. There's normally a sloppy one that can put us in trouble. And I think the closest we had, I think it was Cooper that played it to Strike when he slipped and nearly fell over and let him in. I think that's the only one, and that wasn't his fault. So I just thought it was really good throughout. The other great thing from this game was Matthias Klick looked like Matthias Klick again.
He was given. But bearing in mind they only really played one up top for this, because we did discuss whether they were going to go 4-4-2 or stick with one up top. But
I cannot believe they switched to one up top. I know they were missing Zaha, but playing 4-4-2 caused us all kinds of problems at Selhurst Park. And then they picked two strikers and didn't play two up front. Played Ayew as a number 10, just to make it so it was so much easier for Calvin Phillips to play against him.
Yeah, and to be honest, like,
baffling.
Yeah, and there was no link-up play between those two either. And I thought Klick was, despite the fact they were only playing one up top, Klick found so much room in midfield. Very rarely was he having to rush anything.
No, he did have a lot of space. Like, I mean, for that second goal, I know it was a breakdown of play that got us the ball high up the pitch. But I mean, Klick gets that ball and turns, and there's nobody within 15 yards of him.
Yeah.
And in that position, that's pretty criminal. Especially when you've dropped Ayew in, so you are playing 4-2-3-1. So in theory, you've got two deep midfielders. And neither of them were there. It was I can't believe it's almost like Roy Hodgson went out of his way to make it easier for us in this game. But I think that with the relative levels of performance, I think we'd have won no matter what the formations were and stuff.
Oh yeah, if they go out like that again with a 4-4-2, I still can't see him causing us any problems. The forwards had so little effect on their play anyway that there was, just distribution wise, they weren't seeing much anyway. They weren't closing down, and to be like, even it's bad enough when you see Batshuayi come on as a sub, and he's given up closing down with 10 minutes left. Like, he was only on for half an hour.
Yeah, it might have even been less than that. He was so ineffectual that I can't remember when he came on. But it was they had so little to offer. Obviously, we've mentioned Klick and Cooper being really good. Everyone was pretty good in this game, to be honest. Like, there was no one who was below par. But one man stole the show. And I don't really, we're not going to do what Patrick Bamford did, for instance, and basically try and sell him. But Rafinha, I love him so much. He is absolutely outstanding. Like, I don't think there's been a Leeds player who's had me this excited whenever he gets the ball. Probably since, as much as I hate him, probably since Kewell at his peak.
I was going to say since David Norris, but when you say excited, I'm taking that a different way.
Yeah, that was him and Shane Higgs. Those.
Oh, No, he is one of those. I know it kind of gets thrown around a lot, but he's the sort of player that does make you get out of your seat when you're watching him, and when you see him, making moves like he did on Gary Cahill. There's very few players I can think of in recent history where you kind of expect them to do stuff like that. And as many terrible players as we've had in the last 16, well, I'll even include the last couple of years in the Premier League, last 18 years, there has obviously been some good, wingers in there when you look at the likes of Snoddy and Gradle. But even those players didn't have sort of that unpredictability about them that Rafinha does, or that expectation he was just going to do something that you couldn't foresee happening. So yeah, like you say, you've got to look a long way back, I think, for someone as unpredictable as he is.
Yeah, it's not just that he's got all the flash and the skill. It's that he also has sort of a determination to him. Like, his tracking back isn't always the best. He does sometimes switch off. But his tracking back never goes to pot because of a lack of effort. Like, he ran like fuck up and down that right-hand side, making sure that he was in the right positions. And he wants to be involved. There was one bit where Leeds were passing ball around the back, and he ran back like 45 yards to just get the ball off the centre-backs. Because he was like, no, we're not doing this. I'm not involved if you're doing this. So, like, a lot of people pointed it out. I didn't notice it at the time. But when his shot got saved by Guaita and Bamford scored the rebound, he barely reacted to the rebound going in.
No, he's very... It's the one thing I love is, I think it got mentioned on the square ball, basically his death stare. Like, he doesn't... When he goes down, he doesn't throw a fit or anything like that. He just has this look of anger, like, how dare you stop me? I'm going to come to your house
and I'm
going to fuck and I'm going to fuck the place up. Like, I'm not going to say anything, and then I'll just walk away.
Yeah, no, I just think he's brilliant. I watch him now, and this is where the problem comes in. There is that fear. Are we ever going to get to actually see him play?
I really hope so. I'd like to think so, because I think we're at least in a position now where minimum I can see him leaving for 35, 40 million.
I reckon more than that, easily more than that as a minimum.
Yeah. The only reason
if he was 20 in the summer, his value was at least doubled.
The only reason I say that now as well is I know we've obviously had the investment from the 49ers group, but I'm saying that now in a period where it is still unclear as to when there is going to be fans coming back in.
Yeah. So
I think you can get players, I'm not saying a lot cheaper, but slightly cheaper now. But yeah, realistically, I think you'd be looking between 40 and 50 million.
Yeah, like I reckon that we, at the very least, we should be able to get 2 seasons out of him. But if he keeps playing this well, then there is always a chance that someone will just come in with a shitload of money and be a point where you can't say no to it, just logically. But God, I want us to keep him forever.
Liverpool are going to sign him for. Liverpool are going to sign him for 15 million, and he can become the new Divock Origi.
Yeah, I couldn't believe that. Like, I know that it's not a major publication that wrote that, but I'm editor for a not major publication, for a small publication on the internet. If we wrote, I'll tell you what, that Thomas Soucek at West Ham, he's playing really well. Leeds are going to sign him in the summer for 5 million. Like, you should get ripped out of the shit ripped out of here for that completely. And I mean, they did, in fairness, but they were like, well, that's the price that we saw. And I know what they did. They went on fucking Transfermarkt and just wrote down player value.
Yeah.
Which is, because it's just something that they can do. But the other thing that makes no sense is they said, 15 million plus, and they put it in the headline. put 40 in the headline. More people will click on 40. They're doing themselves out of clicks by underselling his price so much.
I've been trying to find an article actually somewhere. I saw it, and again, I know you have to take the postings of some ramblers in the All Leeds That We Facebook group with a massive handful of salt. But someone posting they'd read an article saying that Rodrigo was the highest earner, earning up to 150 grand a week, and then Helder Costa was next. You know, when you're reading something like,
that doesn't sound right. It's not impossible, though.
The Helder Costa on 70 grand a week was, I was going to say, sketchy at best.
If they're saying up to 150 for Rodrigo, if that could include all bonuses and stuff, it could be that Helder Costa made that much basically after the Fulham game.
I think that's what Helder Costa's worth a year.
Yeah.
I know that Lewis Dayton video came out and it shows Helder Costa playing brilliantly the first couple of games of the season. I was like, I think that man's dead.
Yeah, he's hanging out with Gary Cahill is that version of that. But no, it was great to get such a comfortable win, and we are 10th in the league.
Yeah.
We're
pushing for the playoffs.
Call me negative, but I'd have taken that at the start of the season.
I mean, I only get my news from and opinions from Soccer Saturday, so I was kind of expecting 6th to be the minimum.
Yeah, that's true. We should be challenging, really. We should be up there. We should be up there with title challenges like Southampton, who were 12th.
And West Ham.
Yeah, I cannot believe how wrong we were about West Ham.
What a strange world we live in.
Yeah. There have been a couple of transfer links, but it won't take as long because up until the other day, I'd only heard of one of these, and the one I'd heard of, I didn't know anything about. First one, Tommaso Pobega, who's 21-year-old centre mid, plays for AC Milan. He's on loan at Spezia this season, which is his first season in Serie A. By all accounts, playing very well, playing most weeks. But it's like us, Frankfurt and Leicester have all been having an interest apparently, but he wants to go back to AC Milan and try and break into the side. So I don't see it happening, but it was in enough places to worth mentioning. And we do need a centre mid.
Yeah.
But again, okay. I don't know if it'll happen. And I don't even know enough about him to offer an opinion really. I can't see him playing at AC Milan because AC Milan are playing really well and they do have plenty of midfielders. And he is the right sort, but neither of these are as strong as that link to that Perrault, that left back from Roman Perrault. He was the strongest one. But another left back we've been linked with, who I have heard of, Matthew Bondswell. He left Forest when he was young and went to Leipzig. He's been on loan at Dordrecht in Holland this season. But this story, and this one, it was in a few places a couple of weeks ago. And I didn't really pay any attention to it. And now, admittedly, it's Football Insider, but the one thing that they're not bad on usually is youth transfers. And this would be an under-23s transfer. Like that's where they seem to be better. And it sounds like he's really pissed off at Leipzig and they're not fussed for keeping him either. So it sounds like he might be able to leave on a free. Apparently he's talked to West Ham as well and a couple of others.
I've got nothing.
No, we've been linked with a few under-23 left-backs, which feels weird to me because we've got plenty. But because we keep being linked with them, I'm thinking that maybe Leeds have identified that as something that they need. I suppose because Leif Davis for trying to turn into a centre-back and all his other left-backs aren't really left-backs. Even though from what I've seen of Niall Huggins, I do think it's his best position.
Yeah, I wonder if the idea is that they're going to look at a short-term solution for a left-back next season, for, someone who is maybe 28, 29, and think we can get 1 or 2 seasons out of him, and then look to bring through a younger one over those couple of years.
Yeah. I mean, that Romain Perrault from it's Brest, isn't it? He plays for, yeah.
I'm just saying now, Rome Emperor.
Yeah, Romain Perrault. He's like 23 and playing every week. He's been the strongest linked thing we've had, but that would be in the summer. But it's a bit like the Robin Koch thing, where really strongly linked for months and months and months. So I wonder if I feel like that one's going to happen, and he would be the long-term one. But I wonder if it's because they're thinking we need another young left-back because Leif Davis is going to be bumped up one because Alioski might go.
Possibly. I suppose at this point, when you've got Alioski still potentially leaving, you do have to at least have some options lined up.
Have you seen Alioski has had the entire Arsenal fan base? I believe the term the kids use is on strings.
And like the Premier League is a different place to the one we left, and obviously we kind of left in a pre-Twitter world. The comments I hear from people at times, and I'm not even going to go into this debate as to what constitutes a big club.
Yeah.
Like some people saying you're in your first season, stay humble. Like I don't think you know how football works though. It's a very short term.
Yeah.
And especially with Twitter, no one's going like, oh, no, guys, come on. We've got to be calm here. You've got to establish yourselves in the Premier League, 3-4 years minimum. Then we can start dishing out insults. But as soon as you dish out an insult, it's either know your station or the other one is, we've got you rattled now. We're in your heads. Rattled in your heads.
Went free. Fishing emoji.
Like, I didn't realise if I comment on a team once, oh, they've got to me. Oh, Gabby Bonglaw's got me on strings, haven't they? Oh, the bastard.
Yeah, the weird thing was, like, they all took it really serious. Oh, they should put those comments up on the wall. It'll fire them up before the game. He just made a joke. Oh, great, I get to play against my mate Pepe again. Like, it was such a ridiculous... The reaction to it has been ridiculous. Alex Benson saying Arsenal need to cling to anything they can this year, being the lowest London club in the table. Are they? I didn't even notice that. No, they were both.
I was going to say they must be above Palace.
They're two places above Palace, and Fulham is also in London. So, it means at the end of the season, Alex, I'm going to translate for him. It means at the end of the season, he's expecting Arsenal to lose every game now. And
well, just to be sure, keep drawing.
Just to say, Arsenal, if they lose every game this season now, would have 31 points. I reckon that would be enough to finish above Fulham.
What a sad state of affairs.
Yeah, it's a really odd one. And Arsenal fans, I mean, I know a few Arsenal fans and they're great. I think the majority of them are all right, but Arsenal fans on social media do appear to be a bit of a weird breed.
Yeah, there's a lot to be said for the impact of Arsenal fan TV and what that has done to the world as a whole, to be honest.
Yeah, we can have a go at Arsenal fan TV all we want, but what I'd say is, can I swap bank balances with them?
Well, you'd be a dirty sellout, but I'm completely open to that concept.
Mate, I've got a kid on the way. I'll sell out tomorrow.
Replace me with Paul Merson if it makes you some money.
No, come on. There's some limits.
Hey, to be honest, these days, Paul Merson would fit right in on Arsenal fan TV.
Well, I mean, I would argue that Arsenal fan TV is probably more well-informed.
Oof.
I know who I'd rather listen to. I'd rather listen to Paul Merson.
But I was going to say Paul Merson is living in your head rent-free.
He is. But if he sees this clip and calls me something on social media, I can just go fishing emoji and then I win, apparently.
Yeah.
But will Leeds win? Not will Leeds win, as I almost said there, on Sunday at R4. I'm really glad it's R4 kickoff because I'm on nights and that means that it won't knacker me up too much. They've changed a fair bit since we played them. They played a back five at Ellen Road. They won't do that this time. It'll be 4-2-3-1, which kind of plays into our hands, actually. 4-2-3-1 suits us pretty much perfectly in terms of formation for our 4-1-4-1. And they've got Kieran Tierney and Thomas Partey out. So in middle of midfield, they'll probably have Ceballos and Xhaka. And at left back, it'll be Cedric, in all likelihood.
Yeah, I wasn't... The last couple of times I saw Cedric, I wasn't particularly impressed with him, to be honest. I felt like he's someone to get at.
Cedric versus Rafinha. You're back in Rafinha.
Yeah. Obviously they've kind of had that pickup since the win against Chelsea, and then have put together a semi-decent run in that time. Emile Smith-Rowe has kind of been the new youngster to pick up some form, and
his full name is Leeds hero Emile Smith-Rowe.
Yeah, sorry. Promotion hero Emile Smith-Rowe. He's looked quite good, although I don't know whether he'll still have that place now with Martin Odegaard coming in, or whether they'll just kind of shuffle things. It's more that they're sort of attacking midfielders I'm more worried about than kind of Aubameyang and Lacazette at the moment. But
yeah, well, that on screen, like their front four will be four of Saka, Smith-Rowe, Aubameyang, Lacazette, Odegaard, and Pepe. That is a strong front four, no matter who they pick. I'll just say now they will pick Cedric at left back in all likelihood. If those were my options and Kieran Tierney weren't available, I'd play Saka at left back. And then have Aubameyang left, Pepe right. As much as Pepe's been playing on the left and playing better, but I'd just go back to that. Or play Odegaard.
Or you get Saka playing the Jack Harrison of left back and left winger.
Yeah, true. That could work.
He's obviously on elsewhere. I've spoken about how much I really rate Bukayo Saka. I think he's my favourite player in that Arsenal team at the moment. And he was kind of still their main outlet after they'd gone down to 10 men at Ellen Road. Like it was essentially getting the ball to him and carrying him upfield.
Yeah.
Aubameyang's scoring form has kind of deserted him over the last month or so.
Well, he might not even start. He didn't. I know he had to go back for
personal problems or personal issues, hasn't he?
Yeah, his mum was ill, wasn't she? And he had to go back for that, and then he had to quarantine when he got back. But he didn't bother starting him last time. But I suppose they'll be dying to get him back in the team because as much as they did have that good run, the last two games are getting beat 2-1 at Wolves and getting beat 1-0 at Villa. So they'll probably want to change things.
I'm trying to remember if I remember it earlier. I think it was the Wolves game where I came away having watched that thinking, how have Arsenal managed to lose this? Like, I thought it was a really dominant performance from them and just could not finish.
Yeah, that one they were a bit lucky. The Wolves game was the mental one where they ended up getting two men sent off, didn't they?
Yeah.
But David Luiz's one was a bit harsh, and then Leno just running out and just punching the ball away.
I've got this. No.
Carl Waters just saying, hopefully we'll get something out of this game this weekend. Well, hopefully we will, but it won't be easy because of one main reason. It's not that Arsenal have more talented players and a bigger wage budget.
I know what it is. It's because we don't have Robbie Gotts this year.
It is. It is definitely because we don't have Robbie Gotts, by the way, who scored for. I nearly said Lincoln then because it just nearly came at me. Who scored for Salford the other night?
Yeah. Superstar, mate. Superstar.
Yeah, no, like obviously that 4-2-3-1 in theory, like their team, in all likely. I'd say it's probably like Leno in goal, decent keeper. Bellerin, Rob Holding should be back. I think David Luiz is back, and I think Gabriel might not be available. So it's probably them two. Suarez, Xhaka, Ceballos, Saka, They interviewed an Arsenal fan like they always do on All Stats, aren't we? And he was saying that he thought Odegaard would start this one instead of Smith Rowe because the Europa League starts back up, so he thinks he'll rotate it a little bit.
I say, would Odegaard be? I know this isn't really our issue, but I think Odegaard be ineligible for them, wouldn't he? So he already played in Europe this season.
Yeah, that's why he thinks Odegaard will play this one because Smith Rowe's needed for the. I'm not sure if he is because isn't there a thing now where if you played in the Champions League and your team got through, you can play in the Europa League? There was something like that last season because I remember thinking, I remember watching a game and thinking, I'm sure he should be cup tied. But yeah, their team is a pretty decent side on paper, but they're just not the team that you think of when you think of Arsenal. Like, I haven't looked into their underlying stats properly, but from what I've seen written in a few places, they're 11th now. And that statistically, they're like, the 9th, 10th, 11th best side. They're about right based on what they've done. Obviously, the only real question is what we're going to do. Because Leeds would be unchanged, absolutely, without a doubt. But will Calvin Phillips be fit? That's all it comes down for. And what will we do if he isn't?
I was going to say, I did see earlier Phil Hay tweeted that Calvin Phillips was looking doubtful for the Arsenal game, which, yeah, I mean, for that, given we've not really got any other centre-backs available, do we go back to Ayling in the middle and try with Strike as holding midfielder again, or do we stick with the back four as it's been? And I think playing fairly well together and just go with Click and Dallas and maybe bring Hernandez in to play the more advanced role.
My natural instinct is Strauch and Cooper are playing really well together, so don't break them up. But I think if Phillips isn't playing, the number 2 in that position in Bielsa's eyes is Strauch. Especially while there's no Robin Koch, who I think might have ended up being that guy. So I think it will be Strauch, and I think Ayling will move inside. But the weird thing is, because of how Dallas has been playing in midfield, I think it'll be Shackleton comes in and I think even though in my head, right, those two are on the pitch, Dallas plays right back, Shackleton plays in midfield. That is what it should be in my head. I think Shackleton will play right back and Dallas will play middle of midfield.
Yeah. What a strange world.
Yeah. And I'm not even against that. Dallas, this last couple of games, it's in midfield it's looked exactly like that's his best position all of a sudden, which I can't believe.
Yeah, he's looking more and more comfortable there with each game, and whether it was just the effort that Palace put up, but him and Click look fine playing together there. Yeah, like I said, I think I'd rather see maybe either Hernandez or whether it's Roberts at this point that kind of would get the nod, or move Rafinha inside and bring Helder Costa in, that wouldn't be my choice,
no,
that wouldn't be my choice. But yeah, I would. I agree with you. I'd rather keep the back four as it's been for now, and especially with Cooper and Schrock playing well together, and to not break that up.
I say I'd love us to keep them together. I do think that we will break up that partnership if Phillips is out. But if it was me, I'd quite like to keep them together.
Yeah,
it's a bit of an odd one because I mean, hopefully Phillips is fit, and if Phillips is fit, we'll be unchanged, which we should be based on these performances. But like the thing is that if it's not even the individual roles, because like I think while he's not as good as Phillips, I think Strauch is absolutely fine in DM. I think Ayling's been really good at centre back, like way ahead of what I would have expected. But and in theory, Ayling and Cooper is a better balance because it's not two left footers. But I think Strauch has been so good, and as decent as he is at defensive mid, I think he has the potential to be a really good centre-back. So I just want to see him play there as much as possible.
Yeah, I think I said last time out, at this point, I think that shirt is his to lose at this point. You know, I'd feel he was very unfairly done to if Llorente or Koch came back and just stepped in and took his place. I think with how he's been doing, I think that's his role at the moment. And unless he has a dip in form or one of them has some absolute worldies in training or something like that, you know, I can't see a reason to take him out.
Yeah, it'll be a tough game. The problem is that I look at these teams and the way they're playing. I think they set up, like they are now a bit more open and a bit less defensive than they were when we played them at Ellen Road. And they now play a formation that suits us better than they did when we played them at Ellen Road.
Yeah,
and they've got a couple of key players out. And I think that midfield too of Ceballos and Xhaka, I think we can really get at that. And I can look at all of that and think, we are really in with a shot of getting a result here. And then I think, it's in London though. And, you know, that is obviously completely illogical and shouldn't matter. But I mean, I haven't bothered looking at what the record is this time, but it is still, we haven't won in London since that 3-1 win away at QPR with the Roof hat-trick, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like, it's ridiculous.
Again, you think of that game as the Roof hat-trick. I think of the Vival bounce.
Yeah. And now I am off the reverse psychology picks because I picked us to beat Palace and we did. So I'm going to be optimistic for London, and I think this is going to finish 2 apiece.
Yeah, I mean, I can see there being goals in this because I really don't rate Arsenal's sort of defensive group, with the back four and kind of the midfielders. I don't think there's a right lot to it. Like you say, I think Rafinha against Cedric, we could have a lot of luck down there. I'm going to go with a 2-0 win for no reason.
Yeah. Obviously, last time out, and I was expecting more out of Palace than we gave. I said, I think Leeds will beat Palace, but for what it's worth, I think Leeds are a bit too short with bookies. This one's the opposite. Arsenal are 5-6 for this game. I'm not sure that they should be odds on. They should be favourites, but I'm not sure they should be odds on.
Yeah.
That seems very, very, very short to me. I was just going to try and find out what the price was for 2.5 goals, because I think that the over 2.5. Like Leeds to win and over 2.5 goals is 9-2, and I don't think that's a bad bet. As much as I don't think we'll win because London, I don't think that's a terrible bet. This one, obviously, again, not that long, but we didn't think it would be. Now that we're doing them more often, there's less things happening, and also there's very little in the way of news at the moment.
Yeah, out of January now, and this has actually been one of the few times we've kind of had in the last couple of weeks that we've had almost championship like midweek followed by weekend game.
Yeah,
which is weird.
Yeah, I spent so long getting used to those 46 game seasons and feeling like you're playing all the time, and it took me 4 weeks of being in Premier League to forget all about it.
There's something really nice just going. Like I understand it's probably different once you're in Europe, but there is something nice about having that break. Just going.
By the way,
we play on Saturday, and then look, we play the next Saturday. Brilliant.
I was just going to say once you're in Europe, because we are going to get there. It's just a matter of when.
Yeah.
Yeah. Will it be this season? No. I did actually. That's something that I will mention just before we finish. By the way, Cal Waters has sent us a prediction, even game, but I think Leeds will nick it 2-1. Well, fair enough. You know, he's kind of in the middle of our predictions there, so I can't disagree with that too much. There was something said on that, and the way it was phrased got a couple of people riled up, but the principle of it, I agreed with. And basically someone said, I sort of hope we don't get in Europe this season because I think it'd be too soon. The way that he phrased it was, I don't want to get in Europe. And that people took issue with. I want to be in Europe. God, I'd love us to be in Europe. But I actually think it probably would be better for our team's development if we weren't. If we finished ninth and then had a real crack, and then were able to have a bit more of a crack next season, that would probably be better long term.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, I think you go back to Ipswich in 2000 or 2001, the last newly promoted team that qualified for Europe. And
didn't Wolves finish 7th first season and get into Europe? I think Wolves got into the Europa League after one season.
I thought it might have been second season, but
it may well have been. Obviously, Wolves came up with a team that could have played in the Europa League already.
But you are very much stamping on my point here because Wolves didn't have the decency to get relegated when they qualified, whereas Ipswich sunk like an absolute stone with Fanidi George and Martin Reusser.
Yeah.
Like you say, it would be great to qualify for Europe, but I think in terms of the playing side of things, I think it could cause a lot of problems. And secondly, I think it does a lot to certain elements of the fan base who we've made it into the Europa League, so Champions League next season, yeah.
Yeah, there would be a bit of that. Where your brain goes a bit, well, if we're here now, I know that when I get here in Football Manager, the next season I tend to have a title challenge. Yeah. I've just checked. Wolves did finish 7th in the first season at Premier League.
Bollocks to them, though.
Yeah, but we wouldn't have the Portuguese national team.
No,
we just have Spain's number 9 and the best Brazilian since Pelé,
and Helder Costa.
Hey, he's got a Portugal cap. He counts.
We'd just conquer Europe with those two. It'd be fine.
But because
doing interviews in 4 different languages.
Yeah, well, that was another thing that came out today. Apparently, he talks to Athena in French.
It's a lovely Patrick.
Yeah,
lovely lad.
He's too nice for his own good. Like when I see him, I just think, I think I want to just protect you. Just
you know when people talk about
just keep the world away from Patrick Bamford.
I will say, there's nothing quite dispels the idea of or encourages the idea of football moving away from its working class roots than Pat Bamford talking to a Brazilian in French, so they have common ground.
Yeah. Mind you, though, that is one of those things that's, without wanting to be all lefty snowflake about it, being able to speak multiple languages is only something that impresses people if you're rich. If you're poor and you do it because you're an immigrant, no one cares. If you do it because you moved here when you were 6 and your parents still speak your mother tongue, no one gives a fuck.
No. That's very, very isolationist of you.
Yeah. But as I say, this season, I just thought I'd bring up the Europe thing because we're a little bit short on time. I don't think for a second we will, but it would be fun. And after the pandemic, you think it's hard to get an away ticket? Wait until you're trying to get a ticket to go to Ludogorets.
My concern is that even if stadiums are still closed, the amount of Leeds fans that would travel anyway.
Yeah. There's no flights. Fuck it, I'll drive to Bulgaria. It's not far.
Send me that paperwork now. I'll get all 80 pages of it done before we get to Dover. It's fine.
Yeah. And just singing the whole way. And most of them drinking. And the one guy that drew the short straw, it'd be you. You're the one that would make you drive the whole... We wouldn't even take shifts of driving. We'd make you drive the whole way. And the weird thing is, you'd probably end up wanting to knowing what you're like.
Yeah, I'd be okay with that, to be honest. I don't mind driving. Well, yeah. I've done enough long drives anyway.
Yeah.
You've barely driven 20 minutes anywhere in the last... I was going to say in the last 10 years, but you've not been driving for... You've had a license, but you've not been driving for most of the last 10 years.
No, that is very true. But what we are driving is the end of this podcast into the ground.
Yes.
So that'll do us for episode 106. Hopefully this one should actually get an edit because our editor has moved house and now I believe has internet. Yay. Mm-hmm. So I think that we are good. We're on Twitter at Mighty Whites Pod, MightyWhitesPodcast.com. The stuff we write goes up on Through It All Together, which is at THRU, it's all LUFC on Twitter, and throughitalltogether.sbnation.com. We will be back at some point early next week, probably Tuesday. We believe Tuesday, but I'm leaving it open in case it gets moved around, because if something happens and it goes well, we might need to move it slightly. But, we'll announce that if it happens, because it probably won't, knowing our luck. So I've been Jack. See ya.
I've been Casey. Have a good one.
And that will do us in a bit.